a breather after that run-up in stocks to start the new year. The Dow today down 12. The Nasdaq, though, up 20, closing at a new record high. Shares of Urban Outfitters tanking in late trading after disappointing holiday sales. It was a different story at Kohl's. Sales 7% higher over the holidays. Chocolate giant Hershey is bidding to buy Nestle's U.S. candy business, but another firm, Italy's Nutella maker Ferraro, is set to have the edge. And for the first time ever, Ford Motors will offer a diesel engine version of the F-150 pickup, the nation's best-selling vehicle, and it could get 30 miles per gallon. Tom Busby, CNBC.
At Discover, we believe anniversaries should be a time of celebration, not obligation. That's why we think annual fees are ridiculous. And now, just for giving us a try, we're going to give new card members a one-year anniversary gift they'll never forget. At the end of your first year, we'll match all the cash back you've earned dollar for dollar. No caps and no catches, because we know if you try us, you'll like us. And that's worth every penny. Try it and believe it at discover.com/match. Cashback match offer only for new card members. Limitations apply.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
And now, the Inland News Update with Blake Trolley.
In Rialto, a man and woman are dead after their motorcycle and a car collided Saturday. Police responded to Riverside Avenue and Cactus Street to determine what happened. Names of the victims were not immediately released. A young woman calling for help from a freeway call box was struck and killed when a motorist hit her stalled car, sending another vehicle sliding into her. Brianna Kelly, 21, of Las Vegas, died at the scene Saturday on Interstate 15 near Newberry Springs. More than 100 partygoers near Hesperia made themselves scarce as sheriff's deputies pulled up at a home on Foley Road to investigate a fatal shooting early Saturday. It was later determined that several got into an altercation that abruptly ended when somebody pulled out a gun and fatally shot another person. County sheriff's deputies continue to look for a 40-year-old man who's suspected of domestic violence in the Antelope Valley area. A warrant has been issued for the arrest of Anthony Beretta. Authorities say Beretta used a weapon in connection with a recent kidnapping and assault incident. He is described as Hispanic, stands about 6'2", weighs about 235 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. Beretta should be considered armed and dangerous. And your forecast for today and the next couple days looks rainy. Today, highs in Riverside, 63 degrees with rain, cooling off to 54 degrees by tonight, then right back up to 58 degrees tomorrow. With the Inland News Update, I'm Blake Trolley.
What if I told you you'd never have to make a house payment again? What if you could pay off much-needed home repairs and even create an income stream based on the value of your home? If you're 62 years old or older, you could be eligible for a reverse mortgage. Call Tim Harrison and find out if a reverse mortgage is right for you. Call Tim at 800-566-2475. That's 800-566-2475. Tim Harrison, branch manager, NMLS number 170960. Broadview Mortgage Corporation is licensed by the Department of Business Oversight under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. License number 170952. Registered with the Nationwide Mortgage Licensing System and registry number 813B544. Broadview Mortgage, equal housing lender. Remember, if you never want to make a house payment again, except for property taxes, maintenance, and insurance, that's 800-566-2475. That's 800-566-2475.
You're listening to KCAA, your good neighbor along the way.
The views of the following show are not necessarily the views of broadcast management or its owner, Fred Lundgren. But then again, the views of broadcast management are, well, different. And now it's time for On the Mark Live with host Mark Westwood. Finally, a show about KCAA. Hot topics, a little locomotion, current events, news, laugh, reviews, and a little irreverence. And you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 3, 2, 1, Mark.
And good afternoon. 3:06 in the Inland Empire here in Southern California. I'm Mark Westwood, your host of On the Mark. on KCAA 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and all over the world at kcaaradio.com. And it's a new year and a new show. I am back, ladies and gentlemen, in the 3 o'clock slot on Mondays. Took a little break there. Josh Lane from Here's to Your Health is now at 6 o'clock on Wednesdays. He wanted to go at 6 o'clock on Wednesdays and liked that time slot better, so I obliged him. I said, sure, we'll move you to 6 o'clock, Josh, and I'll take back 3 o'clock again. So I'm starting off my show good, and then good with a bang today. I have Marge Doyle, who's a candidate for the 8th Congressional District, and we're going to talk to Marge in a minute. Welcome, Marge.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just a little bit long down the line, new year, new laws, new things happening, and California is now a recreational marijuana state, and we're going to talk with the utmost authorities on marijuana. Actually, he is. He had a show on here for quite a number of months, and or a year, Robert Porter, and now he is with Carmel Rowe on a show called I Love San Bernardino County. San Bernardino County. So we're going to talk to him the second part of the show, but first of all, it's fire, it's fury, it's a new year. Marge, you can chuckle in, you can chime in all you want on this. I introduced you just a second, but I want to talk about this book. I went and I, being the Democrat that I am, and disclaimer, I am the first vice chair of the San Bernardino County Democratic Party. I show no, let me put it this way. There's plenty of conservative talk shows on the radio. So I'm a liberal, progressive, kind-hearted, compassionate talk show host. And so, I got to get right into it. This page turner, and it is Fire and Fury. The book by Michael Wolff, a guy that for over 200 days, the Trump administration and all their wonderful organization decided to let this reporter in and hang out with the president and Steve Bannon and everybody. And,
extreme vetting.
Extreme vetting. They didn't do it at all. And so, Michael Wolff wrote in his author's notes, and you got to buy this if you can. You're going to probably have to do like I did going on Amazon, because there are no printed copies left. I tried. I tried because I wanted to go up to Trump and ask for his autograph on it. If I ever got the opportunity, like, here, Mr. President, will you autograph this? And stick it where the, anyway. Process it. That's what I meant to say. Anyway, Donald Trump, number 45, in the White House, forgot to take this guy and vet him and find out why he's hanging around, and they just kind of made him one of the flunkies hanging around. But he said the reason to write this book could not be more obvious. With the inauguration of Donald Trump on January 20th, 2017, the United States entered the eye of the most extraordinary political storm since at least Watergate. As the day approached, I set out to tell this story in a contemporaneous fashion as possible, and to try to see if life in the Trump White House through the eyes of the people closest to it was as it seemed. This was originally conceived as an account of the Trump administration's first 100 days, the most traditional marker of a presidency, but events barreled on without natural pause for even a second. For more than 200 days, the curtain was there, finally came down when John Kelly became chief of staff late in July, and then cleaned the room and cleared the room, trying to gain control over what we all know is not controllable. The genius, the self-proclaimed genius this weekend, the dude that like I have an IQ, I am intelligent, I'm a genius, as Donald Trump touted on his Twitter, because he's really concerned about this fire and fury. And this book should be a concern. It's interviews with all kinds of previous, past, and current staff members who don't have nice things to say about Donald Trump. They were there for one thing: the prestige, the money, and the money. It doesn't seem like Donald Trump has very many friends in the White House. And now that he's done the bidding for the Republicans on the tax policy and failed on getting medical, his version, twisted version of medical care, I think he's done. And if they don't need him, they're probably going to get rid of him. That's what I think is finally going to happen. They're just not going to need Donald Trump anymore, and he's going to become an embarrassment, and they're headed towards the 2018 elections. So my prediction, like Stephanie Miller, who's on at 7 a.m. in the morning as our talk show host, nationwide progressive talk show host, I think about March we're going to see it really start to blow up. And
you think so?
I think he will be gone. I think he will be gone. So with that, speaking of health care, who better to interview than a congressional candidate, somebody who's running against Paul Cook in the 8th Congressional District that does Trump's bidding all the time. If Trump says, I would like the White House painted brown, Paul Cook would get out there and paint the White House brown. That's kind of what Paul Cook does. So, Marge Doyle, congratulations and welcome. And
Thank you.
And welcome to being in the hot seat. Let's give her a little more hotter voice on the mic. Thanks for coming in. And the reason I say it was a good reason to bring Marge in is you're a nurse.
I am. I've got nearly 40 years of nursing and healthcare leadership background. So
you're used to caring for people.
I am. And I'm also used to making systems work in healthcare.
Right.
So.
And we actually have a healthcare program. Do you think we should have a healthcare program or an insurance program?
Well, we should care about our folks who have ill health.
Right. The only country in the free world, is as large as we are, that doesn't have their own healthcare program.
Yes.
We have an insurance program.
Yes.
But we are dangerously falling in insurance. So tell us what you would do differently with the healthcare program than what's being done now.
Well, let me give a little background to begin with. The U.S. spends 17.1% of our economy, also known as our GDP, gross domestic product, on healthcare. Most of the rest of the free world, first world countries, spend between 10 and 12% of their economies. So what's the difference between us and them? And, you hit it right on the head, Mark, in that we uphold the insurance companies, the healthcare insurance companies, who do not contribute to the health of the patient.
I say we're more concerned about the capitalists than the capillaries.
But we hold up that industry to the tune of about 5% of our economy.
Yeah.
And that industry does not contribute to the health and welfare of the patient. In addition to that, we do the same thing with the pharmaceutical companies. And, we're the only country in the world who pays for research and development for new medication. Now, I don't think, third world countries need to be participating in that. But Britain, France, Germany, they need to pay their fair share. It's time for the U.S. to stop giving everyone else that free ride. And finally, in the U.S., because people are nervous about cost, they delay their health care. And as an example, if you have high blood pressure, and you go to the doctor and you get your high blood pressure treated, you can get it treated for about 10 cents a day with a pill.
Right.
Depending upon, how bad your blood pressure is and what you respond to. If you wait and don't get it treated and, delay that care because you don't have insurance or because you're afraid of cost or whatever the reason for that delay, you end up having healthcare issues like heart attacks, strokes, etc., which create tremendous costs. So instead of the 10 cents a day, we wait until the person is thousands and thousands of dollars a day to treat.
We don't want to treat them clinically. We want to treat them chronically. For whatever reason, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
But
so we don't have health care, we have sick care.
Right.
So those three things combine to create a very expensive system that does not have good outcomes. Other first world countries with universal health care have much better outcomes than we do. So to me, it not only makes sense on a humanitarian basis, but it makes sense on an economic basis for us to think about and change direction on this.
Yes, and we absolutely have to. And Donald Trump keeps saying that the Obamacare program is falling apart. And yet he's husking it out. We know this. He's trying to husk out the funding. An interesting thing, though, an interesting statistic that I think you'd like to hear, 9 million people last year still signed up for Obamacare. When he cut the advertising, it's a good deal. It is still a good deal. Why would you want to pay $500, $600, $700 a month for, a very modest health care program, and some people pay $1,300, $1,400 on the private? But if they go through, the Affordable Health Care Act, it's much less and sometimes free.
Yeah.
And
Now, back when, not last November, but the November before that, November 16th happened, I realized that there was going to be a change on the healthcare issue. And, I thought, well, I have some experience with this, and I know how things work. I'm one of the few people that understands the complexities of healthcare.
you've been in nursing
finance.
for almost 40 years.
In nursing and healthcare leadership, yes.
And it says here that you started by helping your aunt in her final stages of cancer.
Yeah, I was 16, and
I've been a sole caregiver too myself.
Yeah,
It takes a lot of steadfast care.
it does.
It's a very trying thing, and it makes you stronger as a person.
Yeah, she
Steadfast.
was so wonderful. She was not just my Aunt Helen; she was my auntie. And I dearly loved her, and it was a really hard time for me. I didn't think I could be a nurse. I didn't think I had the constitution for it, but she proved to me that I did.
I had an Aunt Eleanor like that. Now, I cared for my mother until her dying day, too. But my aunt died a couple years later, and I wasn't the sole caregiver, but I cared for her deeply. And, she had sons that one was a 5-star brigadier general, the whole nine yards. And the reason I'm talking about her a little bit is this will bridge to the next thing in the next part of our program. She couldn't eat. She was going to die. So guess what? We got her medical marijuana. And she lived. And that's why I've always been a supporter of that. How do you feel about medical marijuana? And
As a clinician, I was pretty neutral on it until I went into hospice care. And I found my patients in hospice care utilizing this as a treatment for them. There was one guy who was really pretty special, and he was absolutely adamantly against drugs of all kinds. He was, Mr. Upright, went to church every day, but he couldn't sleep. He had cancer, and he couldn't sleep. And he finally tried medical marijuana in brownies. He wasn't going to smoke it, and he would then joke about, hey, I'm going to go home and have a brownie and go to sleep. And it worked for him. And that began to change me and say, I'm being a little bit of a snob here about what treatment works. And so his
if you want to go through the pharmaceutical company, you can call it Marinol.
Yeah.
It comes in pill form.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And, but it does work a lot for a lot of people. And that's kind of, and it's nice to know that about you. You have always been nursing up in the Joshua Tree area, or?
Oh no, I'm a native Californian, so I've been in and around. I started in the Inland Empire at San Antonio Community Hospital.
Up and up.
Yeah, but before that, I worked for physicians since I've been 16. So that's been a few years. And I worked for an internist, a cardiologist, and then a psychiatric group. And while I was going through school to help put myself through school, which you used to be able to do, you can't do that anymore.
That's a whole other thing we can talk about.
Absolutely.
But you growing up being a native Californian, working all around like you did, you've had a practical application of your degrees and your education.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. That's a very good thing, because you've had to work out in the work field. You've had to serve others.
Yeah.
And there's two kinds of politicians. I like to talk to politicians about this. There's the kind of politicians that run for office because they want to serve themselves. And, it's all a buffet line, kind of like a Paul Ryan, who came into to the Congress making $30,000 a year and is going to leave next year as a millionaire. Or the kind of people that come to serve others. And I detect that you're the kind of person, because you're a nurse and you seem like a very caring person, that you do want to serve others and help others.
Well, how I got into politics to begin with, that was not my prime motive. I was going to be a nurse and, nursing leader.
You didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to run for Congress of the United States in the 8th Congressional District?
Absolutely not. I got into politics about 4 years ago when our hospital up in Joshua Tree was under threat of closure. And I had been the director of nursing there for 7 years, and then went off to do hospice, like I just talked about my patient. And he, so while I was gone, I started hearing rumors that the hospital might close. And if you know anything about the geography up there, you know that if that hospital had closed, people would have had to drive anywhere from 1 to 2 hours to get care.
Oh, I can only imagine what that would have been disastrous.
And it would have been horrible. People would have died on the way to get care. So as a nurse, that was my primary thing. That can't happen.
And there were people up there willing to let that happen. That's just really blows my mind.
Well, actually, once we educated the folks, they really got it. They really got it, and eventually we had a vote about it, and 91% of the people were behind it. But, it was because of that I decided to run for the Morongo Basin Healthcare District, because I knew we had to save our hospital. And I knew we had to save those 600 jobs because we were the third largest employer in that area. And because if those
And you won, too.
And I won. I won overwhelmingly, actually. I was the top vote getter, and I nearly doubled the number of votes that the guy who'd been on the board for 14 years
You're actually
got.
a congressional candidate
Yes.
that's running for Congress, especially in the 8th District.
Yes.
That's actually held a political office?
Yes, sir. I'm currently elected.
What a concept.
Yeah, last year I was the president of the board, and we just on last Thursday redid that, so now I'm the vice president.
Well, the president of the United States never held political office either, I guess. Well, look how that's turning out. Anyway, but no, there's a lot of things that have happened up there, and it just kind of amazes me sometimes. I go, what's happening up there in that Morongo Basin?
Yeah.
There's some interesting people that come out of there. We'll stop there. Anyway, but, let's talk about your immigration policies.
Immigration. Well, I think we had a little reminder today that immigration is a big challenge in this country.
Yes, we did. Big challenge in the mind of the Twitterer in chief too.
As far as I recall, America is about bring me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to be free.
The Colossus poem at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty.
Exactly. And it's not about breaking up families. It's not anti-family. It's not anti-Christian. It's not anti-American.
These are core values.
Yeah.
Family, keeping families together, keeping people who love together.
Yeah.
This is not something that's a new concept. This is not radical.
Yeah.
But sometimes because the far extreme uber-right radicals have shifted so far right, and with the leader of the free nation now, almost encouraging hate and that kind of stuff, you wonder how we got there. And it's just like, it's got to be fixed.
Well, these are our neighbors. Mm-hmm. These are our neighbors who contribute taxes. They contribute to the community. These are our neighbors and friends, and sometimes our families. Mm-hmm. The entire community of folks who are immigrants or folks who have something a shade darker than my skin are fearful. Well,
you came from El Salvador as a refugee during the Reagan arms race and contours and all that kind of stuff. You've been here for 20 years. You've established a family. You've worked. You've played by the rules. You've worked. You've paid taxes. And then the President of the United States comes out today and says, oh, you're going to have to go back now.
Yeah.
How are you going to go back? And you've got family and babies that were born here, so by the 19th Amendment, they're automatically citizens. You're breaking up families. And why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
I think it's just wrong. And, we need a comprehensive bill that looks at all aspects of this. Mm-hmm. These are our neighbors and our friends. They're not the enemy. Mm-hmm. And it's wrong to treat people as other when they have done nothing wrong.
Right, and they're not costing anything. Actually, immigrants in the state of California last year, $90 million in sales taxes, just alone.
Yeah.
And they own property, so they pay taxes on that.
Yep.
And sometimes they do pay payroll taxes that then they never get back.
Mm-hmm.
So, immigration is a definite thing that Congress needs to address, and it just won't do it. And that's why we have a failed policy, because we have no policy, right?
Correct.
You agree with that, huh?
Yeah. The challenge is you can bring anecdotal things into a conversation and try to normalize them. But the occasional individual who is truly a lawbreaker is not what we're talking about. We're talking about families that contribute to our community.
Right. And, you know, there's so many important things to talk about. And, you know, it's hard to push them all in there and just kind of adequately explain your positions. But, you know, there are certain things that are important. Medical care.
Yes.
Caring for our indigent, homeless people. Caring for, you know, our seniors, of course. You know, and, you know, caring for those people that qualify. I'm a third-generation immigrant. You know, my mom didn't immigrate here. She was born here. But my grandparents were born somewhere else.
Mine too.
They were born in Russia. They were German immigrants that got pushed into Russia and then pushed out of Russia in through Pennsylvania and up to North Dakota. And
no, my father was from North Dakota.
Oh, okay, we got something in common there. High five. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Right.
But you know, they were good, you know, middle class people, worked hard. They're teachers, they're farmers, doctors. You know, I just mentioned I have a cousin's a 5-star brigadier general. They have contributed. But the reason our family, and I'm proud of my family and their contributions, and they're very upstanding, I'm very proud of them all, were able to do that is because they had an immigration policy that wasn't so discombobulated.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, convulsionary.
And you know, reactionary. I mean, I think, you know, if we've got somebody who is dangerous, no matter whether they're an immigrant or not, they need to be responsible and controlled.
Right.
You know, if they're you know, and that goes for everyone across the board.
And it goes for Americans that go into other countries and create crimes too, because, you know, people say, oh, they come here and they create crimes and blah, blah. Yeah, just add people, just add water. You're going to have crime or something wrong.
Yeah.
Not everybody's a good person, whether they're black, white, yellow, brown, purple,
Absolutely.
spotted, polka dotted, whatever. And, you know, we go into other countries, Americans do, and we cause problems too. Look at our Olympians in Brazil. Anyway, you know, it is something we need to focus on, and I think we need to get back to our core. And, you know, they say reading, writing, arithmetic for education. We haven't even gotten an education yet.
Yeah.
Education, we need to have you back here pretty soon.
Okay.
Because definitely want to do that. But in the last few minutes here, first of all, tell us your website where people can find out more information about you.
Oh, it's an easy one. MargeDoyleForCongress.com.
Spelled D-O-Y-L-E.
Yes, and Marge is M-A-R-G-E.
And you got to say it, put Marge in charge. Put Marge in charge.
Yeah.
Did you come up with that, or is that
no? That was some of my
all over the place.
That was some of my kitchen cabinet, and actually, I'm just slightly embarrassed by it because it's not really about being in charge. It's about being able to make people's lives better.
I don't know whether you realize that your campaign has taken up steam.
Yeah,
it really is. Congratulations! I saw your campaign reports. Just a little under $200,000.
Yes,
raised. You should be proud of that.
Yeah. In the first quarter, we are extraordinarily happy about that.
You are going to be a very formidable challenger. I believe you're going to be the endorsed nominee. Hopefully, you'll be the endorsed nominee, and hopefully, politics doesn't play against you. You are the most qualified in the race.
I believe that,
and I believe you can hit the ground running. That you have spelled out on your website all kinds of great policies. You know where you're going. Your website is clear. You are very
want to bring jobs here and protect the jobs that are here and expand them. And for our Victorville and Hesperia, Apple Valley area folks, they need a 4-year college. I'd like to try to encourage that, and they also want a trauma center. And you know, I know a little bit about healthcare, so I might be able to be helpful on that score.
Now, the 8th Congressional District is San Bernardino County, and I'm in Yucaipa, so I'm in the 8th Congressional District, but it goes up halfway up the state, I think.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it stems from the bottom of San Bernardino County to the eastern border of California. And not all of San Bernardino County, actually. Parts of San Bernardino County are carved out. We have pretty much all of the mountain areas all the way over to Mount Baldy. And then up north into Inyo and Mono County. And I went to a little town called Walker at the very tippy top of Mono County. It is at latitudinal equivalent to Sacramento.
Wow.
Our district is 30,000 square miles, and we're larger than South Carolina.
Yeah, we're larger than a lot of countries out there in the Middle East.
Yeah.
This little San Bernardino County, Inyo, Karn, and
so
Mono counties.
There's lots of need and lots of good things that we can brag about. We've got gorgeous, pristine lands. We have Mount Whitney, the tallest peak on the lower 48. We've got Death Valley, Joshua Tree, Mammoth, Lake Arrowhead, Big Bear.
So we are a congressional district with its highs and its lows.
Oh, yes, indeed. Mountains and deserts.
Highest and lowest in the same district. 30,000 square miles. Okay, before we wrap it up, Margin, I am going to invite you back. And,
sure.
You have my endorsement, by the way.
Thank you very much.
And you have my personal endorsement. And, as for identification purposes, I'm the first vice chair of the San Bernardino County Democratic Party. And I think you're going to get some other officers here real soon, too.
Thank you.
And your campaign, congratulations, it's picking up really. The others should run. They should. If they're not, ready to step up like that, let's put Marge in charge. Let's let our strongest horse get up there and win. So I encourage you to just bow out of the race, folks. You're just playing around for your own egos and you're being narcissists. I'm not going to say any particular people's names. I would never say that to Rita. But anyway, you're just being narcissistic here, and you can't raise that kind of money. You don't have that kind of experience, and you may have a degree or two, but you haven't put it into practical work like 40 years of nursing and practicum that Marge has done for care and compassion. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes right here at the very end before we say so long to you and go to our next program segment to tell people, and I'm going to say it again, why we should put Marge in charge.
Thanks, Mark, and thank you for having me today.
Absolutely.
We have had a representative in this congressional district who has avoided meeting with our constituents, avoided answering phone calls, messages, emails, and the like, has blocked people on the internet from talking to him if they are upset with him. I have made it a habit when I go and give a speech, the last thing that I ask is, now, what are the two things you need me to do when I get to Congress? It's important for a representative to know what the people want and not to ignore them. And I would pledge to do that. I believe I have the experience having saved a hospital and jobs and the like, and turned the hospital district around from near bankruptcy to having $14 million in the bank in 3 years, all of that in 3 years.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and expanded access to health care all at the same time. I believe I have the experience to step up and help execute some things for the benefit of the people in this district. And that's the only reason I want to be there, is to help one another, help our folks.
And so you are that person that's the latter category of the two kind of politicians. You want to be there to serve others.
Yeah.
And a nurse who would more likely be that person would be a nurse. And
Public servant. Yeah.
So it's vote Marge Doyle for Congress?
Yes. It's margedoyleforcongress.com.
margedoyleforcongress.com. margedoyleforcongress.com. We're going to have you on again a couple more times before the filing closes. And, we'll make sure that we get your message out there. Because, a half hour just flew by really very, very quickly. And we talked about a lot of things, but we didn't talk about near enough.
All right.
So thank you, Marge.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah.
KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and 102.3 FM. I'm Mark Westwood with On the Mark. We'll be back right after this with Robert Porter and Carmel Rowe.
You've been listening to On the Mark Live with Mark Westwood, a show about KCAA, the world, and you, with more to come in a moment.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292 FQ Riverside, and K293 CF Moreno Valley.
This segment of programming sponsored by Cybertime Network Communications. How's your internet? Slower than what you were paying for? Feeling boxed in with the high cost of the internet? It can be frustrating and expensive, and with net neutrality coming, it's not getting any easier. Ready for a better high-speed internet service? Then you're ready for Cybertime. And they're local and right in your own backyard. Cybertime provides connectivity for all our transmissions you're listening to at KCAA. Cybertime is locally owned and will respond to your needs with the best service. It's crisp, cool, fast, and sleek. Cybertime uses the latest, leading-edge microwave technology to be able to offer clients a safe, reliable, public or private network that fits almost any budget size. Numerous local city agencies rely on Cybertime's microwave private network for their most critical mission applications. You should too. Get connected, stay connected, get smart, get Cybertime. You can Google, text, or call Cybertime Network Communications at 909-795-9559. Cybertime Network Communications in Calamasa.
The caring people at Affordable Plumbing in Rancho Cucamonga take this special time out to recognize and salute the men and women in uniform that are standing tall for our political and economic freedoms around the globe. Let's remember them in our thoughts and prayers and letters from home. That's courtesy of Affordable Plumbing, your complete contractors with a reputation for quality work at prices you can afford. For an estimate, call 909-888-3260. Affordable Plumbing offers a military discount. That's Affordable Plumbing on the air because they care.
Hey Ryan, do we have any beer in the fridge?
Nah, I thought you got some.
The game starts in 5 minutes.
And you drank the last beer at midnight on Friday.
I wish there was a place that delivered beer.
Yes, I'm Captain Crafted. I'm here to bring you beer. That's Captain, C-R-A-F-T''D. Why? Because there's no E, just a D, as in deliver, because Captain Crafted delivers.
That's right, the Crafted Beer Store in Redlands is now open for business with great prices and deliveries of your favorite beer, wine, spirits, water, ice, and mixers. Did I mention their great prices? That's CRAFTDBEER store.com or Fred Crafted Beer Store on Facebook.com. Make it easy. Google Redlands Beer Delivery. Look for Crafted Beer.
Crafted Beer Store in Redlands is now open for business, and I'm here to deliver.
I'm so tired of the buffering on my smartphone.
I'm so over it. Next.
Right? I am so over it. Next.
A radio? Next.
No buffering, just your favorite local radio station?
Next Radio uses the FM tuner that is already built into your phone, so you can listen to your favorite stations on the go. Because Next Radio uses the FM tuner already built into your smartphone, it saves on data and battery usage. When compared to streaming audio, Next Radio uses less than 1/10 of your data, and your battery will last 3 times longer. Next Radio, it's FM radio on your smartphone.
Introducing a radio inside your cell phone. Listen to all kinds of local radio stations, including KCAA 106.5 Yucaipa and 102.3 Riverside on Next Radio. Download the free Next Radio app today. 100% free, 100% fun, 0% buffering. Stop the buffer and listen to KCAA.
Start the new year off right with fermented green tea at its best. Quantum Nutrition Lab's revolutionary Green Tea PG provides all the benefits of green tea through a probiotic culture delivery system. So even those with poor digestion can absorb the full spectrum of green tea's phytonutrients. For a limited time, buy 2 bottles of Green Tea PG and get the 3rd one free. Call 888-588-7578. That's 888-588-7578.
News, weather, and talk from KCAA 102.3 FM, broadcasting to the Moreno Valley, Corona, and Riverside.
And now it's time to batten down the hatches, because here comes more of Mark Westwood and On the Mark Live. 3, 2, 1, Mark.
Oh, I love that trumpet music there on a rainy afternoon. You can see the rain kind of coming down gently on the sidewalk outside the window here at the studio. And It never rains in California or singing in the rain. You choose which song you like, but sing something today. Sing a song because it is a beautiful day, even though it's raining.
Raindrops keep falling on my head.
And welcome to the second part of Karaoke with Mark and Marge. We still have Marge Doyle in the studio. She's going to hang around a little bit, and we've got a couple other guests. And I just want to say as a disclaimer to our folks that this does not necessarily mean because Marge is participating that she endorses candidates or that she endorses opinions or ideas, but she is participating a little bit in the conversation.
Thank
and
you,
she
Mark.
can add her interjections there. And of course, as we go through, this is a political show, and we do local politics. Sometimes we do state politics, and sometimes we do federal politics. Today, as I mentioned earlier in the first part of the show, we talked about how California became now a recreational marijuana state.
Weed's legal, team.
Legal. Lanny Swerdlow must be just jumping up and down. Lanny Swerdlow used to have a show on our radio station as well. And then Elmo.
Yeah, Elmo and I had a Cannabis Corner, and
Yeah.
which was sponsored by Carmel Row
You work
right
at
here.
this radio station. Would you please talk into the microphone?
Oh, yes, I love talking into the microphone. So basically, we had a little radio show for about a year,
That's
and
right.
and we're real veterans. We fought the war before it was legal, and got our name out there, and really put our name where it was dangerous to put at the time, because it
And
was
so-
illegal.
Yeah.
You know.
And so in some places it's still illegal as of today.
Yeah, people do go to jail for weed still in this day and time. Who
And
would
so that's kind of what we're here to talk about. And we have Carmel Rowe, who's a mayoral candidate, soon to be mayoral candidate. She's got her own microphone, Robert. And amazing how that works. Robert, you're so funny.
I like to share.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in another show. But anyway, we have Carmel Rowe here. And Carmel's may possibly be a mayoral candidate. I think she probably will be. And she's also the co-host with Robert of a show called I Love San Bernardino County. And so we're going to talk about recreational marijuana, what's illegal about it, and then also kind of talk about how it pertains to the city of San Bernardino and what is going on there where, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 70% of the voters in California voted to legalize recreational marijuana. And how we define that, we'll talk about that in a minute. But in the city of San Bernardino, they're trying to skirt the will of the voters, it sounds like, with this moratorium.
Yes, so basically, I'll just read you the exact marijuana regulation update. During a December 28th court hearing, San Bernardino Superior Court Judge David Cohn indicated that he will be issuing a written opinion in approximately 1 to 2 weeks, which has been about a week, right, Carmel, since that? Or all right,
You got to say yes. Nodding your head doesn't work on
okay.
radio.
So basically, they're looking at the validity
Yes.
of Measure O, and that was on the 2016 voter-approved ballot. So we regulated marijuana in San Bernardino. With
Measure O?
With Measure O, that was monopolized. It monopolized the areas for a certain group.
You cannot have monopoly without the word O in it.
Yeah. Well, so Carmel will explain what possibly may happen now with the judge's decision.
Well, first, Mark, you are right that the city is walking a fine line on the will of the people. Measure O in itself is a monopoly, and it did create spot zoning, and it did create wealth for maybe 1 to 3 individuals, which is actually against the law under the new Senate Bill 94. But Judge Cohen, I was there. There was 8 attorneys and myself there. I'm representing myself, and everybody argued their points. And Judge Cohen, his first initial tentative decision was going to be to invalidate Measure O. We all went back and forth with our arguments, and in the end, he gave us 2 options. He said he could issue a verbal the next day, and then still issue it in writing, or he could just take 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and then issue it in writing. And we all just wanted it in writing. We would prefer that he take 2 to 3 weeks and actually look through the material, because there was a lot of material.
Now, in addition to Measure O, the voters in the state passed
Prop 64.
Prop 64. And doesn't, that trump? Oh, I don't get, I hate to use that word, but.
Well, It does and it doesn't, because Prop 64 says that you need to have a local license. So you can't even get a state license until you can get a local license.
Mm-hmm. So the state can, the city can ban weed and ban cannabis in the area, but they can't ban if you grow inside a house.
They can't grow, or if you're a medical marijuana patient, you can grow more than 6 plants. You just have to be.
So that is the law on that, by the way. I'm unclear about this because, quite honestly, I'm kind of busy and sometimes I don't always pay close enough attention. I knew it was kind of legal. I knew they had Measure O, and I knew they had Prop 64. But Prop 64 defines it as 6 plants?
Prop 64 for recreational use is 6 plants per resident. So if you had 5 people in there that were just for recreational, you could only have 6 plants in that property.
So in the city of San Bernardino, you could still grow those 6 plants?
You could still grow those 6 plants.
But indoors.
But indoors.
Not outdoors.
Not outdoors.
Because they can't ban indoor growth. But if you have a medical marijuana license, you can grow as much medical marijuana as prescribed to you.
And if the city does continue, like we have a 45-day moratorium, and possibly a 10-month, 15-day one added to it. But if they do finally choose to ban cannabis in our city, then they will not receive any state
federal
funds.
Yeah, right. State or but I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but marijuana is now back on the top of the federal list. Okay.
Jeff Sessions is
correct. Now, I signed some petition, and it was a congressman, and he is actually putting a bill together to take marijuana off the
is it
Schedule
Robacher?
1. I don't know. I signed the petition. I've been a little under the weather, so I can't really remember. But I did sign it, and honestly, I think if Donald Trump wants to do something for the people, I think he should go ahead and do it himself. But the problem I have with all this is that it just seems to me that the feds want to get their hands in the state's money. And
well, it's exactly what it is. They want the money, the law enforcement money. They've gotten grants and stuff for this all the time, and now that it's legal, they can't get grants, federal grants for that enforcement anymore. If it's legal here and they're allowing it,
right?
So it gets real complicated. But what it involves is down to the basics. It's in your pocket. It's in their pockets. These law enforcement agencies and agents that make hundreds of thousands of dollars and tons of money in pensions and everything else are worried a bit about their pocketbook, and that it may affect their pocketbook. I kind of find I got to tell the funny thing to our listeners. This is a good story, and it's absolutely fake. No, it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. This happened in San Bernardino, and you guys can fill in. So there's a beautiful police department in the city of San Bernardino they built about 10 years ago, down on D Street and about 7th. I believe it's D and 7th. Really nice, swanky place. And
have you spent the night there, Mark?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. But no, I don't remember.
I'm just gonna tell you. Did we make news?
No.
Okay,
and then
that was a fake.
You're not helping me. The story here. I'm trying to get to the.
You don't remember.
No, just kidding. Anyway, and the next to it is this big, tall bank building that has been vacant for 20 years. That everybody said that's where the police department should have gone, but it's not there, and it's still vacant. Every floor in that bank building is still empty. And then I didn't realize it, but there was this GTE phone building, which makes sense. It's all concrete. It's like a vault. And it is literally right outside, 50 feet outside the back gate of the lot where they keep the squad cars in back of the police station. And some lady from somewhere like in Santa Monica,
Pacific Palisades
rented this building.
Stephanie Smith.
No, owns this building.
Stephanie
Smith.
Stephanie Smith. See, I knew you guys would help me fill in here. And she decided to put a plant growing facility in there. Like right outside the police station.
A mega growing facility.
Like 12,000 plants or something like that.
24,000.
24,000. Oh my gosh. 24,000 plants.
Is that legal in the city?
I don't know.
Well, last week it was. This week it isn't. Okay.
Yeah. So I know. You got to get your head scratching. How does this work in here? That's why I have so many questions, folks. And I'm on here just to get as much education as the listening people out here. So here it is. I'm trying to figure out how the police missed this, because 24,000 plants in a building, they must have seen some activity someplace. Or was it like their police dogs were going crazy every time they went in and out of their car?
Falling over, passing out.
I'm going to tell you that Edison is the one that called the police department because the bill was $67,000. The police department did not find this on their own, nor would they have ever
The
found
crack
it on
police
their
department. We're paying these guys $180,000, $200,000, $225,000 a year apiece, and right outside their back door is the biggest marijuana pot growing facility. I mean, guys, you should be embarrassed.
It gets a little deeper than that.
Yeah, Mark, it goes way deeper.
I'm sorry, I have
just,
to. And it's like, folks, I'm not even reading Fire and Fury right now, and I'm laughing. But
so it seems that Stephanie Smith was dabbling in San Bernardino politics as well.
dabbling, as in dab, or no. Dabbling. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. She was giving political donations to candidates locally in San Bernardino.
Well, who did Stephanie Smith, not to be confused with Stephanie Miller, Stephanie Smith, give contributions to politically?
It's real easy. You go on the thing and look in the 460 forms, right?
It wasn't Carmel Row.
Okay, so the process of elimination here, was it Carrie Smith?
You mean Carrie Davis?
Gary Davis? I don't think he's taking any cannabis money.
Oh,
No.
I don't think so.
No, he's a strip club marijuana mayor, but he doesn't take any
That's
cannabis
a whole
money.
other story.
Yeah.
About $9 million.
He takes bribes from the police department. Sorry.
So
my bad.
okay. We only have about maybe I don't know how many more minutes here. 7 more minutes here. 6 more minutes. Who did get the political contribution on this?
John Valdivia.
Really? He's running for mayor.
Yeah.
He's a Republican.
Yeah.
Really?
Cannabis funds?
Cannabis?
Cannabis. He took $6,000. Wow. He's right, but then again, I'm just going to say if you evaluate his 460s, none of them are from
How much
real
did he
people.
take?
6,000.
Is that legal?
Yeah, he got $180,000.
Yeah, they limit
And then
congressional candidates. They limit
$2,700
Yeah,
for us.
but
Yeah.
No, not to be the mayor of a town called San Bernardino. You can get $250,000 by any means necessary.
Wow.
And from people like from Orange County and outside of the residents. Okay, nobody. He didn't even get any money from residents.
I begged him to help us. I begged Valdivia to help us before he gave any money. So he gave he got money. He got the money from the big guy, but didn't listen to us.
So
Wait,
what's happening?
Mark
with,
wanted to say
oh,
something.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, does that mean, since he had no local contributors, does that mean he's not supported locally?
It just means he's bought and paid for by Orange County. I mean, that's the best way I can sum that up.
Okay, and the thoughts and opinions are not necessarily the thoughts and opinions of the KCA, but no, we're trying to remain nonpartisan. I try a little bit, but no, that's a very interesting thing. So, where do you see the future of San Bernardino when it comes to this? What do you think? How this is going to come out?
Well, hopefully the judge heard what I said, and hopefully he only invalidates the 2 sections of Measure O that actually make it a monopoly. Because if he invalidates the whole thing, we are back to square one, which we have nothing. Okay, and then the city can go ahead and ban when over 50% of the people voted to not have a ban on marijuana. So if the judge would just invalidate certain sections, we could all go get a marijuana license, and we could all pay taxes, and we could all do the right thing.
Oh, by the way, when Edison gets that $64,000 in taxes paid, there's a utility tax on
7.75%. It's on $67,000. It was about $5,100 a month.
So the city was getting like $5,100 a month too.
Yep, right.
So that's like laundering the cannabis funds.
But I mean,
through the
imagine
Edison.
if you had this throughout our city. Imagine if you had regulated running businesses, okay, paying their utility taxes and their sales taxes and the excess taxes. I mean, we could pave the roads with gold if we wanted to.
Right.
There was an illegal cannabis growing outfit in the Inyo County area in the forest. And what they found was that because it was unregulated, there were significant contaminants and environmental problems. So I think if we're going to have cannabis, we need to regulate it, both for the benefit of the partaker as well as for the benefit
for safety
of the environment.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
we shouldn't drive our growers into the
black market.
Yeah, like let's embrace them and just do everything legal.
Right. So we have 5 minutes here. Robert, you haven't talked very much, so I'm going to let you talk a little bit about
Well, I'm always talking on the radio, and I'm owner over there at the group I Love San Bernardino. You guys can take a look at it on Facebook. We have 51,000 members, or actually 54,000 now. Yeah, oh my God.
So if you want to get involved in this, then you should go to his I Love San Bernardino Facebook page.
And check it out and just join, and you can friend me and friend Carmel.
Is there another organization other than this, I Love San Bernardino?
Yes, what else are we...
I have one that's Your Voice Matters, San Bernardino, and there's a lot of different political
perspectives,
Facebook pages, but I just implore people to just start paying attention. I mean, even
come
if
to the meetings.
Come to the city council meetings, which are the first and third Wednesdays of the month. And if you can't make it, turn it on Channel 3, or a lot of times I'll try to live stream. You can't hear it all that great, but
and you can send in your own public speaking to the city clerk, and she'll read it there, and you don't have to be there.
You get the city you deserve, folks. 11% voter turnout doesn't get you the city you deserve. This is what you got. You got a closed mall. You got a closed city hall. You got a closed train depot. You've got a closed hotel. You've got a closed convention center. It used to be that you used to name the city after what you saw on the signs. It'd be Available USA would be the name of San Bernardino if you had to change the name to what are on all the signs. You would think if you're driving through San Bernardino that the name of the city is Available. It's terrible, but it's true. And I'm a hometown resident of San Bernardino.
I'm going to just tell you that I was out in Laughlin for Christmas, and I'm waiting for the guy to come and take my luggage because I got a bunch of it.
Oh, and we have a closed airport too. Okay, go ahead.
And I'm talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, he's looking at my car, and he's like, "Oh, where are you from?" And I was like, "Oh, San Bernardino." And he says, "Oh, you're from San Bernardino."
Oh,
and I thought to myself, after all these years, and I'm in Laughlin.
I won't even say that word.
Okay, and people still call it that. I thought to myself, this is a problem.
I went to Lincoln Elementary School. I went to Arrowview. I went to San Bernardino High School. I went to San Bernardino Valley College. I went to Cal State San Bernardino. I need that city to be a good city. And you know why? Because on my resume, San Bernardino's on there about 5 or 6 times. And a lot of people need to stop and think about that when they're bad-mouthing San Bernardino and they went to San Bernardino High School or Pacific High School or San Antonio High School or Canyon, whatever. You need to know that you're bad-mouthing yourself. And we need the city to prosper because its success is all of our successes. And, that's why I am so for San Bernardino. I love your website. I love San Bernardino.
Thank you. Thank you.
Carmel, you're doing a good job, and I'm glad you're here. And thank you, Marge Doyle, for hanging around here.
My pleasure.
And running for Congress of the United States of America and being a good American. Marge, what's your website?
MargeDoyleForCongress.com.
Marge in charge.
Marge in charge. So how many more seconds do we have? Are we done? Brandon. Oh, it's on the phone. Oh, I couldn't see that.
Cook his goose.
That's okay. Better be a good phone call. Anyway, but we are glad you're all here. We'll be here every Monday now from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. talking about local interests, having candidates on. We're coming up 2018 election, folks. We're going to be electing a new governor. We've got Gavin Newsom. We've got John Chang. We've got Delaney running, and I've left one off.
Delane Easton.
Delane Easton. I'm sorry.
And
Gavin Newsom and John Chang.
Antonio Villaraigosa.
Antonio Villaraigosa. Oh. The strongest candidates right now, they're not in the lead, are Gavin Newsom and Antonio Villaraigosa. I encourage you to meet John Chang as well. As a good guy.
Oprah 2020.
And the election, the primaries are in 2018. We've got congressional elections coming up. So it's time to start paying attention. It's time to get active and create the country and the nation and your own backyard the way you want it by participating. It's the only way it's going to work, folks. We've got to turn out. We've got to move what's happening. I don't think anybody likes the nation the way it is, whatever perspective you are. It does need some beefing up, tuning up, but we still do have a great nation, and I believe our greatest days are ahead of us, and we don't need to make America great again. We are already great. We just need to be better. Thank you. I'm Mark Westwood for On the Mark on Kcaa 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and 102.3 FM.
Thank you for listening to On the Mark Live, hosted by Mark Westwood, a weekly show about this station, hot topics, local motion, and the world around us. Join us next week as we hop back on the KCAA Express for another ride on the Mark.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
I'm Tom Busby, CNBC. $306 billion. That's the total damage from last year's